Hey everybody, this is George from dinosaurgeorge.com. We are moving forward and continuing on at 101 today. This question came from Austin from St. Louis, Missouri. Hey Mr. Blassing, it's such an honor to ask you this. I've got two questions. Well, first of all, Austin, it is very polite of you to have such courtesy and good manners. You can certainly feel free to call me George, DG, Dinosaur George, whatever you want. But I do really sincerely appreciate your courtesy of calling me Mr. Blassing, but I consider us friends and the Mr. part isn't necessary. Who would win in a fight against the Nanotyrannus named Jane and the teenage T-Rex named Tinker? And do you think that Nanotyrannus specimen we have, like Jane, are those of an adult or juvenile? Thanks for answering and have a great day. Wow. First of all, Austin, I'm interested that you know something about Tinker. I'm getting ready to get the skull reproduction of Tinker. One of my very good friends and a business partner is the guy that owns Tinker. And so I'm very familiar with Tinker, and they've made a mold of him finally. And I'm getting ready to add Tinker's skull to my traveling museum. So first with Nanotyrannus and Tyrannosaurus Rex. Well, I've looked at Jane. I got a chance to study the skeleton of Jane, the reproduction skeleton of Jane, when I was at the Carnegie Museum. They had one on exhibit there. And I took some measurements and looked at it. It was kind of cool. Well, it turns out that Jane is pretty close to size to Tinker. But looking at Tinker's bones, they're much more robust than the bones of Jane. So I believe even Tinker would be able to take Jane down. But Jane, from what I understand, appears to be a mature adult, or at least as close to a adult size as it was going to get. So it doesn't appear to be a juvenile anything to me. I think Jane is clearly its own animal, and it appears to be pretty close to adulthood, if I understand correctly. I don't have that information in front of me, but in talking to some of the experts while we were shooting Jurassic Fight Club, they all told me that it appears that the dinosaur named Jane is an adult. So I would think that if Jane had an advantage over Tinker, it would simply be that being an adult gives you some advantage because you've learned more lessons in life. For instance, how to defend yourself, how to fight, what to do under certain circumstances. Whereas Tinker appears to be sort of a juvie and therefore hasn't quite learned all of the lessons in life yet, and so may be vulnerable when it comes to those kind of things. But looking at its sheer size and immensity, I think Tinker would have been more than a match for the dinosaur named Jane. And to your second question, do I think it was an adult or a juvenile? Again, it appears to me, based on all the information I gathered from all the various experts who I interviewed about Jane, the consensus was they all agree Jane is a different species of dinosaur than Tyrannosaurus Rex, and that appears to probably be about the size that Jane is going to reach as far as adult size. So it appears she's an adult, or it's an adult. Thanks for answering my question. Have a great day. Good to hear from you, Austin. Thank you for taking the time to write. All right, let's dive into the next one. This one is from Kevin from Champlain, Minnesota. Hi, Dinosaur George. How are you today? I'm doing great, Kevin. Hope you're doing well as well. And thanks for adding me to your friends on Facebook. Hey, man, thank you for joining my Facebook friends list. And thank gosh I didn't say friends book. I have two questions for you today. First, a question is, can a pack of Allosauruses kill one Diplodocus? Yeah, that's a good question, man. I don't believe, even if they hunted in packs, I don't believe Allosauruses would probably attack an adult an adult Diplodocus, because I think the end result is just too catastrophic if an injury occurs for an Allosaurus. So I really think that their focus was to attack the young the young Diplodocus, or the injured, or the sick, or the weak. I really think they would focus their attention on that. And in doing so, then yes, hunting in a pack, I do believe then they were more than capable of taking on a sick Diplodocus, or an unhealthy Diplodocus, or an old or a young. But I don't think they would take on a healthy adult Diplodocus. Second question is how Allosaurus packs bring down a large dinosaur like Diplodocus. Okay, so to that question then, how would they do it if they were attacking? Well, I think they would hunt probably the way modern wolves hunt. I think that they would simply chase the prey till it became exhausted. That's the first most important thing of a predator, is try to make sure that your prey just cannot defend itself anymore. And so you chase it to start off with, and you wear it down. And then you separate it from its parent or the herd, because you don't want any of them to get involved. So what you do is you try and running, you try to get in between it and the herd and sort of peel it away from the rest of the group so that now it's by itself. The next step then is to surround it and take turns attacking. No matter where it faces, if the Diplodocus is facing you and I are hunting together, my job is to get around behind it and to jump and to slash and to inflict as many injuries as I can with my teeth and claws so that not only is it physically exhausted, but now it's starting to deal with blood loss. And you go in, it's called the slash and dash. You run in, you cut them up, you step back. You run in, you slice them up, you step back. And you do that over a number of times until you weaken the animal to where it just can't defend itself anymore. And that would be my best guess. All right, moving on at 102 today. Let's see. This is from Eric from Appleton, Wisconsin. Hey, George, I just have a couple of questions. The first one is it quite possible that the 8-foot arms of Dinosaur could actually belong to those of an unidentified allosaur? Cool question, Eric. You know, I've looked at those arms. I saw those arms when I was at the Museum of Natural History in New York. And I studied them, and they don't look to be allosaurid. They probably are the arms of an ornithomimid. They're probably the arms of an animal like that. But I've got to say, man, if those belong to an allosaurus or an allosaurid and it had 8-foot long arms, that would be the creature to end all creatures. That thing would be massive. My second question is, I'm thinking about going into paleontology. Do you have any tips? Thanks for your time. Eric, here's my advice to anybody that wants to get into paleontology. Certainly it depends on your age. If you are in high school, for instance, take some biology courses and study the metric system. If you are younger than that, my advice is read as many books as you can get your hands on. The biggest mistake that I see people make is sometimes they only buy one book and then they read it and memorize it, which is fine. But the problem is then you only have one point of view. You only learned one thing. If you read a variety of different books, it will help you get a broader picture of paleontology, and then it will help you formulate your own opinions and ideas. So my advice to you, my friend Eric, is just read as much as you can. And then as you continue to get to the point where you're ready to make a decision as far as college, then of course do all the research you can about which college would give you the best opportunity for the kind of paleontologist that you want to become. All right, at 103, let's see. This one is from Darshil from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Hey, DG, my question is, did T-Rex hunt in packs and how many would there be? Darshil, that's kind of cool. It appears that some tyrannosaurs hunted in groups. You're from Canada, one of my absolute favorite paleontologists and people in the world is Dr. Phil Curry, who is up there in Canada. Dr. Curry has found, if I understand right, a couple of big pieces of evidence that showed that a group of tyrannosaurs lived together. I think with him it was Albertosaurus. So yeah, I do think they hunted in packs because that's a very beneficial way to survive. How many would there be is a very interesting question. I don't believe they would probably be more than maybe 4 or 5 in a group. The reason why I say that is because of their size. I think it would be very difficult for a bigger group to be able to hide, to be able to sneak up on prey. It would be very difficult, you know. You could see them coming from a long way off. Whereas if you have a little bit smaller group, you have a better opportunity to lay an ambush or conceal yourself or that kind of strategy. And I think that would have been necessary because tyrannosaurs are absolutely not designed for long distance running. So interesting question, Darshil. I'm glad you wrote to me. Thank you so much. All right, at 1:03 p.m. This is from Fidel from far. Fidel, I get a lot of yours. Hi, DG. If mosasaur is a sea reptile, and since reptiles can't control their body temperature, how do you think it regulated its body temperature? And could theropods chew? P.S. I think that Spinosaurus is cooler being a fish eater. Have a nice day. That's cool. Okay, Fidel, first of all, mosasaurs, how did they regulate their body temperature? Well, you know, I saw a study one time with sea turtles, and they discovered that sea turtles, even though they are cold-blooded reptiles, have the ability to generate their own body heat. They found that they had the basic metabolism of a warm-blooded animal. And so there you have an example of a reptile that lives in the ocean yet doesn't have any problems regulating its temperature. So in my opinion, I think mosasaurs probably possess that exact same feature. Now, to your question about could theropods chew, yeah, the jaws of theropods are obviously made to chew up and down, but what they don't do is they probably don't chew their food into small pieces, and that's probably what you're asking, Fidel. Really what they would do is rip off a chunk designed to be the right size to go down their throat, because the last thing you want is a choking Tyrannosaurus Rex, because nobody would want to come up and give him the Heimlich maneuver. All right, let's do another one. This is from David from Jacksonville, Florida. Hey, DG, thank you so much for accepting my friend's request on Facebook. David, thank you for joining my friends on Facebook. If you guys would like to become a friend on Facebook, go to Facebook and look me up under George Blasing, B-L-A-S-I-N-G, not Dinosaur George. I have a fan page that somebody made for me, but I just don't have time to visit it and do anything with it. I was wondering who would win in a fight between a short-faced bear and 5 cave hyenas. Wow, thank you so much, and go Texans. Woohoo! Listen, man, I got to tell you something, David. If you're talking about the Texans teams, man, those guys are looking good. Those guys are looking good. I'm pretty impressed with them. All right, the short-faced bear versus 5 cave hyenas. Cave hyenas, big dude, big animal, very powerful jaws. Even though the short-faced bear is an absolute monstrosity and he's powerful and he's a massive animal, 5 of those critters may have been more than a match. Because with 5, you're able to get around behind him. And I don't care how big the the short-faced bear Arctodus simus was, his weaponry is all facing forward. You know, his teeth are facing forward, his arms are facing forward, his feet are facing forward. They're all facing forward. If you wanted to attack that guy, you would attack him from the rear. And unfortunately for the short-faced bear, if a cave hyena grabs you by the rear, you've been grabbed. All right. Thanks for writing to me, David. All right, let's do one more. This is from, let me see, hang on. This is from, nope, I got you. I sent 2 of them in. Smart move. All right, here's the last one. Michael from Östersund, Sweden. Hey, George, I've asked questions before. They never get answered, and I forgive you. Thank you, my friend. Let me tell you something, Michael. Today is your lucky day. Today's my lucky day because you forgave me, and I thank you very much. I've heard your opinion on Spinosaurus, and I don't agree. Gasp, he writes. That's good. Let me tell you something, Michael. I like to hear people that don't agree with everything I say. I don't have all the answers. I have opinions, and I am very, very glad to hear that you don't agree. Good for you. Though the jaws aren't as powerful as the other theropods, they still could slam shut at immense speed, and the quicker it snaps, the deeper the teeth go into the flesh and precious veins. And this could have helped it take down large prey, because the prey could then bleed to death. Plus, the claws of Spinosaurus and its kin could inflict massive damage, perfect for tackling big prey. And let's take Spino and Carcharodontosaurus as an example. If you look at the jaws of Carcharo, they're quite weak. And when you compare the weaponry of the two, it almost doesn't seem fair to the Carcharodontosaurus. And when it comes to size, Spinosaurus has that too. So wouldn't it be safe to say that Spinosaurus, rather than being the underdog, may have been the apex predator in the environment and bossed the other predators around? I just want to know what you think, because I'm sticking with my opinion. Good for you, Michael. Good for you for having an opinion, having the facts behind your opinion, and sticking to your opinion. I'm very, very proud of you. I think that's spectacular. Now, you make some very good points. And when you are interested in science, science isn't a matter of I have my opinion and I'm not going to listen to anybody else's, because then you're not a scientist anymore. I love the fact that you laid out your argument. Some of your arguments, I agree. I mean, the power of the jaws was probably more robust than what I give it credit for. Being able to inflict a very deep wound was certainly possible because those teeth were very long, and absolutely those claws are underestimated by me. So you make a very good point, and perhaps, Michael, one day I may really reconsider my opinion of when I'm talking about Spinosaurus versus Tyrannosaurus Rex. All right, that's it for now. I'll try to answer one more of these. I'll post it in a bit. Thank you guys for taking the time to write to me. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. Let's keep going. I will answer a few more. See you in a bit.